Well, let's welcome our next guest. We have Neeraj Seth, founder and CIO at 3R Investment Management, who joins in on the show. Hi, Neeraj. Good morning. Thanks a lot for joining in. Well, nothing wrong in hoping, right? And there is some hope that there'll be something in this budget to spur sentiment in the stock exchanges and maybe bring the foreign investor back. How are you feeling in terms of expectations? Because India clearly has lacked with regard to those FI flows.
Hopeful is being an important part of being an investor, so you can't let that go. But coming back to your point, I think there are certain aspects which one should expect from the budget, and specifically from a foreign portfolio investor perspective. If you are an equity investor, the rollback in the long-term capital gains, if it happens, will be a big actually boost immediately. But at the same time, I think the policy predictability has to be there. On the fixed income or the bond side, I do think the fiscal consolidation path will be important. The stabilization of INR will be critical. And at the same time, some potential levers to actually grow the participation in the corporate bond market. And I think that's one thing which has been missing for a number of years.
Right. Neeraj, just to focus on that deficit front, normally this government has stuck to fiscal prudence. However, this time around, there is a need to spur up the economy. So maybe, in fact, they go a little bit aggressive on the capital expenditure and maybe see that fiscal deficit number slip a little bit. Do you think that will be something that will be on the wish list? Because otherwise, in another scenario, you'd be hoping that they stick to fiscal prudence. However, this time around, you want the growth engines to fire. Is that the way you look at it?
So the main thing here is it's not a one-off fiscal deficit that matters, it's the path. So if the government has a clear path over the next 5 years in terms of the deleveraging with the fiscal consolidation, I don't think the markets will get spooked on the basis of slightly higher fiscal deficit in the current year to support growth. And specifically in a world from a geopolitical perspective where you do expect the defense spending to go up. I don't think that's a choice where the defense spending doesn't go up. So from that aspect, I think a little bit of increase in fiscal deficit this year with a further consolidation in coming years, I think that will be okay.
Good.
Okay, well, those were pictures of the FM leaving her home and perhaps going towards meeting the president. Neeraj, what sectors here? What do you bet on?
So I actually still very much like the financials because we've seen, and slight early days, but we're starting to see the uptick in the credit growth. So banks, non-banking financing corps, I still think are in a good place. The consumer is still okay. There's potential for consumer to actually pick up from here as we go into next year with all the tax cuts and the GST cut that have already happened. The corporate side, the earnings in the rest of the sectors like industrials and manufacturing, I do think the capex will start picking up this year. We haven't seen as much of capex in the corporate side where the balance has to come in between the government spending money and the corporates actually taking some of that capex started. So all in all, I think the consumer staples, discretionary financials, auto actually I think is on a positive footing, including the commercial vehicles. So you do have some sectors. IT services still remains, in my mind, a little bit of a mixed bag here with cheaper valuations, but still the pressure from AI and other restrictions possible.
Neeraj, 30-second response. Gold and silver international markets are not trading. We saw a big dump there on the US markets. And this morning there's going to be selling, etc. But any thoughts on how they will open? Do you see stable? By the way, that's the convoy of the finance minister leaving for Kartavya Bhavan. And those are sort of, it's a foggy morning once again in New Delhi. And that's the FM's convoy, as we can show you visuals coming through this morning. Well, wide, nice, tree-lined streets of Delhi.
Less foggy.
It's a little foggy, it's a little wintry, but I think it's a good kind of feeling, right? I can tell you, Lata. I grew up in Delhi, so this is perhaps the best time in Delhi as well, just in that sense. We'll of course get you the minute-by-minute update in terms of, there's that classic photo op as the finance minister will get out of the car and, go into the Kartavya Bhavan. Then, of course, she will leave from Kartavya Bhavan to the parliament, and there's a photo op there as well. So, this is tradition, this is history, and we will keep that shots perhaps on the side of the screen there. Neeraj, so my question simply was, should we expect stability in gold and silver internationally? 30 seconds.
So short term, there can be more volatility given the positioning. Medium to long term, I remain positive on gold. I don't think the story of gold from the debasement of the global currencies is over.
The big theme, debasement does not change. Near-term volatility. Be ready for more. Thank you very much, Neeraj. And we hope to see you and talk to you post the budget. Appreciate it.